That's good. This is good. Ah, so it sounds like we had maybe a mild technical difficulty as I've been shuffling through those slides, but it looks like you all been following around pretty well, so I don't think we need to go backwards. A couple things to keep in mind with their website. A lot of tools out there, and that website is really built. You have to register now because there are some things that are a little bit proprietary on there. But if you have not registered and you want to, have your sales director walk you through, or just go to the website and we'll get you on there. If you haven't looked at the website lately, you should. There's a lot of improvement that's gone on there. So take advantage of the tools on the annuity side. IAMS Wealth, for those of you that don't know, we launched an RIA, IAMS Wealth Management, here recently. We'd love to have you look at, if you haven't already, looked at maybe adding wealth management to your business if you're strictly right now in the insurance-only business. If you're already an IAR or Series 65 license and you'd like to see where we are fees-wise and structure-wise, I would appreciate you giving us a call and letting us know. Or, again, you can just register your interest. There we go, on this poll. So if you would like to see a little introductory package on IAMS Wealth Management, simply hit yes on that poll and we'll get that out to you. As you all know with the Series 65 and what's happening there, if you want to get prepared, a little bit more prepared for maybe the future of what we might see in our industry as it becomes more and more prevalent, that you offer more than just annuities as part of your core business or more than just life, and you want to add wealth management into that, we'd love to help you. We got a great team over there, Charles Jr., myself, certainly can help you with any questions that you have. Sales directors can point you in the right direction. If you want more information or just an introductory packet, hit yes on this particular poll and we'll get that right out to you. We'd love to help you on the wealth management side. If you're currently Series 65 licensed and you'd like to see where we are fee-wise and where how we're set up on the platforms and how that can help you grow your business a little bit more, and how we've kind of, I think, made that an easier method of kind of gathering assets under management, give us a shout and we would love to talk with you. You can give us a call at 800-255-5055 or the IAMS Wealth Management number is 888-255-7670. That's what appears down at the bottom, or simply check yes on that poll. And again, we've done a great job of voting, so I'm going to go ahead and close that poll out. We're going to get moved right along here today. I'm going to skip over Retirement Analyzer. I'm going to skip over, well, let's talk about this for a minute. So we've got a couple programs listed there. One is our RPM program, and the other is marketing reimbursement. Those are two ways that when you are doing business with IAMS that you'll see some reward for that. So the RPM program is a way that if you refer a fellow producer to us and that producer gets licensed and begins doing business, we will pay you out a bonus based on their business levels for as long as they do business with us. That is not money that comes out of their pocket, strictly out of our marketing budget and sent over to you. Marketing reimbursement, similarly, whenever you do business with us, we put money in your marketing reimbursement account. When you have marketing expenses that come up, simply send in the receipts and we'll send you out cash to help with your marketing, and really just a donation from insurance agency marketing services to your marketing budget. We feel that's really important, going to be more and more important going forward. Our best producers have more and more established themselves in their community as kind of a resource for information around retirement planning and savings, and we would like to help you with that through our marketing reimbursement. Okay, I think we went through that at kind of record pace, Dave, because I know this is the 401k IRA rollover seminars have been a big part of your business, and we've seen a lot of success there. So I wanted to get you on board as quickly as we can. Why don't you give the folks a little background on yourself and what you've done as in the seminar business, and then let's talk a little bit about what we're going to go over here today. And with that, why don't we get started?
Good, thanks, Steve, and I appreciate that. And thank you for everybody being on the webinar with us today. We got a lot of folks. A lot of folks are interested about seminar marketing in particular. This one revolves around 401k IRA rollovers, which is it's a huge market. If you're working with a pre-retired or just retired marketplace, then everyone that has that specific kind of gearing or focal point in their business is going to be working with this type of product. And there's no doubt, probably 7-8 years ago, I think it was probably 2006, 7, or 8, right in there. But I think that for the average household, that the 401k, and I say 401k could be 403b, a 457 government, but that retirement plan with the company became the largest asset, more so than the private residence. So there are trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. In fact, if you take pensions, 401ks, IRAs, deferred comp, etc., there's close to $30 trillion that is available, and that's available, excuse me, not just for an income for the recipient, but a lot of that is available that may be better choices to go in and to work with that money, i.e. a guarantee. Most retirement plans do not have a good guarantees. I run against locally here in Nebraska stable income funds, and they are stable to a point, but they don't have a guaranteed fixed principal, a fixed index, SPIA, they all do. And so what happens is, even though about 75% of my business is from the securities and the investment side, 25% of it is from the insurance, mostly fixed index annuities. I know for most people that are looking at the age of 65, 64, 5, 6, 7, they can remember 2008 and 9. They can remember 2001 and 2. When you get burned by that burner, it's much more lasting than the kind of positive things that have happened in the marketplace. They know that the markets can go down, and when those stable income funds, the dividend on those are in the neighborhood of 1.5%. We could, even with a 4 or 5% cap on a fixed indexed, or a 3% fixed annuity, we certainly can be a lot more competitive. So we're going to go in just real quick about myself. I've been in the business since 1981. 30 plus years. I started my first 3 years with insurance, really door knocking on a specific kind of a indemnity and hospitalization little teeny plan, opening a door knocker plan, and then I went with a national firm for a year, and then in '85 I became independent, and I've been independent ever since. What happens is that our business is a pretty simple business. I mean, we have to get in front of enough qualified prospects, and then we need to go in and hopefully they see the benefit of the financial plan that we're showing them or product we're showing them, and they purchase from that. And of course, that's how we are compensated. But in reality, most people don't get in front of enough people. And marketing is it's huge in our business. I mean, can some people live off of referrals alone? Yes, they can, but most of us can't. And so I like to have new prospects in the pipeline all the time. I like to be in front of clients and talking to them about their portfolios and talking about what is done good or bad, and then seeing if there is a referral, see if there is other monies available, see if there is something coming due with an inheritance or settlement or CD coming due or bond coming due. I mean, when you're doing that day in and day out, and as a professional, not taking, so many people in this business say that they're full time, and I mean they're making $25,000 or $30,000, and if you really are full time, this business offers so much more. So what we're going to do today is talk about, it's a really timely subject, the 401k IRA rollover game plan, and that's the name. I put this together. IAMS did all of the work behind it as far as the digital department and as far as putting all the slides and all of the information together to make it look very professional and presentable. It does have a FINRA review that is current, so anyone who is securities licensed, whether it be 65 or 7 or 6, this has had a FINRA review. So with your broker dealer, that's what they're going to see, and we do have that available to if you'd like to use this program. So we're going to start here. This has about maybe half of the slides. The presentation takes right at an hour. Has 40 slides. We're going to go through maybe 20 of them or in that neighborhood. Normally, I like to give, and FINRA likes this also. I like to give not just the positives, but the negatives also. So I'll walk through a couple slides like that. If you've got any questions whatsoever, certainly call, and we will go on in, and I will answer or call. I mean, just type it in, and we will answer that as we go along here. Okay. So I will see if I can get this slide on. Steve, if you're there or not. I'm trying to go in and get the slide going. And if Steve's not there, then we'll just go ahead without the slide itself. There we go. Okay, so this is actually the slide itself, the very first one, 401k IRA rollover game plan. And you can tell, they're always we put the nicest looking, young looking 60-some-year-olds you're ever going to find. I suppose they're models of some type, but this is a non-product. It's very much a educational workshop. Okay, so if I ask right now, I do this at Annuity Academies, who considers themselves an expert in retirement plans? An expert. And we'll normally get one or two hands. Now, those questions aren't the easiest, and there's a couple. There's one in particular that might be a little bit of a catchy question, but let's just see how smart you really are. So here you go, and keep tally yourself that we're on the webinar today. Here's the question. You make your initial Roth IRA contribution for the 2015 tax year on April 15th of 2016. That's as late as you could make it. Okay, when the tax man calleth, you need to have your contribution in. How many years do you have to wait to withdraw all of your money out tax-free? Meaning not just your growth, but your earnings also. Okay, how much? How long do you have to wait? And most everyone is going to say 5 years. But interesting enough, that's the 5-year rule, right? Got to keep your Roth IRA money for 5 years. Interesting thing is, all money put in for whatever year you're taking that contribution, you go back to January 1. So whether it goes in January 1, February 2, December 31st, April the 1st of the next year, all those contributions for the 5-year period go back as if they started on 1/1 of the year you're taking the contribution of. The only time it truly is a 5-year, okay, if you go back, is if you start from the very, very beginning. Yeah, interesting. What type of trust do you have to establish for your IRA when your intent is to make sure that your designated beneficiary or your human beneficiary within that trust are able to stretch or out the tax deferral for the lifetime? So this is an inherited IRA. You know what type of trust you've got to start? It's called a see-through or look-through trust. That is part of the conduit trust family. So I'm certainly not an estate planning lawyer. I'm an advisor, financial advisor, but we do get a lot of questions around this, and some of the simpler questions I can answer, of course. But what does it see through, or what does it look through? It looks through for an individual heartbeat. Okay, individual heartbeat, and then you can go in and inherit it from there. What type of trust do you have to establish for your non-IRA with an annuity when your intent is to make sure your designated human beneficiaries within the trust are able to stretch out the tax deferral? So a non-IRA. This is that little bit of that catchy question. It can't be accomplished. Now, with any type of trust, a 5-year rule will normally apply. So an IRA is where you have your stretch or your inherited IRA. What does the designation of per stirpes mean? Pertaining to beneficiaries. Per stirpes. Okay? Means by the bloodline. So if there's been a death, say two brothers, twin brothers, one of the twins dies, and they are both named 50-50 beneficiaries. If it's per head or per capita, then one brother would get it all. If it's per stirpes, even though he's not living and it hasn't been changed, which happens all the time, it would go down through the bloodline, through his children, through the bloodline. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. I'll tell you right now, there are loads of questions that are asked around retirement plans. And you know, where it used to be 30 years ago, I remember we got a $50-some thousand rollover from a 401k, and I thought, my gosh, that's huge money. And of course, now we're seeing hundreds of thousands if not once in a great while, we'll see over $1 million within a retirement plan. And this is not from a high-end exec. Those are from normal working people or mid-managers of companies. So when I talk about 401ks, I also mean nonprofit 403bs. I also mean government deferred comp 457s. They're really twin brothers and sisters. A little bit of difference between them, but not a lot. So this is one of the very first slides we have, and I'll kind of walk through and I'll say, when you talk about your potential rollover options, so if you're working for a company and you get let go, you get fired, you retire, you're laid off, what happens is that you've got basically 5 options. You could do nothing, okay? You can leave it there. As long as it's $5,000 or more, they're probably not going to kick you out of the plan. You can roll it over to a new company retirement plan, okay, if they allow it. Go from ABC to XYZ, new company that you get employed with. You could take a lump sum distribution, take your hit on taxes, but you could. You could convert to a Roth IRA, which is tax-free, or which we work a lot with is rollovers. We work a lot with rollovers and transfers from a company plan 401k to a traditional IRA. Now it could be a Roth, but to rolling it over to another IRA that you can go in and pick the specific investment, self-directed. Okay, and then I'll go into the second slide. Which now we start, see that back here? We're talking about that we do nothing, and then the first one here is do nothing. And I walk through each one. So why would you do nothing? Well, you know what? First of all, it may just be a choice that is the easiest for you. Maybe you don't want to take it out because you're comfortable with the existing investments that are there. You just want to make sure that your existing plan will allow you to do that. Normally, if it's over 5,000, they will. Okay? Now, you could leave your investments in your current 401k plan. Well, what is a good reason to do that? Now, time out here, just talking to the webinar attendees, not to the crowd of attendees that would be at the actual seminar. But it's interesting because we talk here about the 55 and over year rule. Normally, if you are under the age of 59 and a half and you need to take a distribution or income from that retirement plan, lots of times, or the majority of the times, there'll be a 10% penalty, the 59 and a half penalty. But if you leave it, if you're 55 and you get let go, or you retire, you quit, go to another company, but you're 55 or over, you've got those 4.5 years from 55 to 59 and a half that if you leave money in there, you can take distributions or income. You can do that without any kind of 10% penalty. You're still taxed on it, but you're not penalized. And that would be a reason to go in and leave at least part of it there if you needed income and you're under 59 but over 55 and you left the company who you were just recently employed for. Yeah, pretty cool. Now, when we explain that to people, how do we make money from that? We don't. We lose money. We lose the asset. But we're given good, solid financial information that most people didn't know about. And so here, when they really don't know about that, they heard about the 59 and a half rule to not have 10% taken out. But most people have never heard. Even advisors don't know that rule. It's a fairly new rule in the last 10 years. But what happens is that people start looking at you and say, this guy's balanced. And we should be. We should give the goods and we should give the bads, not just the positives, but the positives and the negatives, okay? Now, I talk about ERISA, creditor protection in the state of Nebraska, where I'm at. It's similar between 401ks and IRAs, but some states, the 401k will have a much more stringent safety net than IRAs do because it's under the ERISA rules. Kind of interesting who governs the IRA. Yeah, it's the IRS, interesting enough. A lot more rules with the 401k than there is an IRA. Why might you want to keep money in there? You're just familiar. you're comfortable with the investment choices. Maybe it's Vanguard funds or Fidelity funds, and you've used them for a long time and you like them. Yeah. You may have lower fees inside of your 401k because of the size of the millions or hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars of the big company. But you take a fixed indexed annuity or take a fixed annuity. There's no internal fees. There's a surrender charge if you get out early, and there's some type of a stated interest, or if it's a fixed index, there's a cap. But there is no internal charge as long as you hold it to this maturity, the surrender charges, is there? No, there's not at all. So it's certainly less. It's just like if you put money into a CD. If you roll it over, there's no internal charge. There's a penalty if you take it out early, but there is no internal charge. So it could be higher, it could be lower. The main reason people leave it in their current, the majority of the time, they're just kind of lazy. They just don't want to mess with it. They got a lot going on in their life. Is that always normally the best decision? I'd say normally not, but it could be. But you have to look at that. So I go through kind of in depth. Why would you leave it in there? Roll over to your retirement funds to a new company retirement plan. Yeah, it has about the same things. I do talk about service and guidance. You don't have that normally unless you pay for it somehow through the investment company. You don't get guidance and service on your plan. You're kind of on your own. You have loan provisions on the 401k. You do not have loan provisions on an individual retirement account. So what happens is you might want to keep money in there, or keep the money in there if you think you're going to borrow from that money. Yeah. And then I talk about the normal things and consolidate funds. A lot of people, as they get older, like the idea of consolidating. Take a lump sum distribution. Most of the time, this is not going to be in the favor because you're going to be taxed on all the money normally at a higher rate. Also, if you take a cash lump sum, they're going to go in and withhold 20%. They, meaning the government. So if you got $100,000 and you say, I want it in cash, they'll give you $80,000. The $20,000 is taken from you and put into your tax account for that year. The government doesn't trust that you're going to pay taxes on that. Yeah. Over half of the employees still cash out. The bigger amount of monies usually don't, but a lot of the people that just don't know, they're just kind of ignorant when it comes to what's available out there. They just pay taxes on it and cash out. Now, one really good reason to go in and take a lump sum distribution is something called net unrealized appreciation, or NUA is the acronym. So let's talk a little bit about that. So here's what happens is, if you work for a company, and I'm just using this for a hypothetical, but you work for IBM, International Business Machines, IBM. You've been there for 42 years, and what happens is that you're retiring. And you've been putting into IBM stock ever since it got public. And I'm making this story up, of course, it's hypothetical. But let's say you have $400,000 in your 401k, and $100,000 is in IBM stock, and $300,000 are in mutual funds. What happens with NUA is that you go and there's two separate sides of this. One's the company stock, the plan the company you work for. One's mutual funds, which is very common within a 401k, especially publicly traded 401k, the parent company. So because that stock is highly appreciated for IBM, it has a $100,000 value in 2017, but really it only has a cost basis of $25,000. All right. So now all of the money, you can do it separately, but all of the money has to come out by the end of the year you take the first distribution. So the $300,000, you just roll that over into wherever you would do a fixed indexed annuity, a mutual fund, a variable annuity, whatever it happens to roll on into. But this $100,000 is going to go into a personal account. Now, why? Well, here's how NUA works. Has a cost basis of 25, appreciation of 75,000 through the years, total value today of 100,000. The 25,000 that stock, the 25,000 that stock cost basis is, that's what you pay ordinary income tax. Even though it went from an IRA, from a 401k to a personal account of say of his or theirs, you only pay ordinary taxes on 25,000. The other 75,000, you pay long-term capital gains tax. So you're turning ordinary income tax to a long-term capital gain tax. Now, that has to be the company's traded stock. Can't use Microsoft if you're working for IBM. Has to be the company you're working for and their publicly traded stock. So depending on your tax bracket, depending on how much the stock has appreciated, those are the two big reasons why do you 1031 with NUA, net unrealized appreciation or not. But turning ordinary income tax, which it can be as the highest rate of 39.6%, into a much lower capital gains tax that could be 10, 0, 10, 15, 20. You're really reducing the amount of taxation, which is money in the pocket. Okay, timeout. So, and now I'm going to go through slides quite a bit faster now, but you can see who knows anything about net unrealized appreciation. I use it it's probably been a year and a half ago the last time I used it. Now, if you are just insurance licensed, you can certainly bring that up, and hopefully you have a cohort or you've got a good referral source that you could trust that could do that part of, hold that part of the money, okay, the single stock part of the money. But when you're up there talking about it and they say, gosh, we never knew anything about this. We work for, like locally, the publicly traded companies, Berkshire Hathaway, Kellogg's, ConAgra, UP Railroad. Those are all publicly traded. West Company, Valmont, Hormel, 3M. Those are all locally public companies around the Omaha, Fremont area. And so what happens is that you start looking at this and they never knew about it. And do people, so if people aren't in a high bracket, it doesn't make a difference. But just the idea they're hearing something that they didn't know puts you kind of on the pedestal as far as knowledge when it comes to this type of plan. And, people who trust you will do business with you. If you got any questions whatsoever, certainly just type them on in and I'll answer them for you. I heard by Henry Kiney way back in the 1800s, but he says experience is a good school, but the fees are high. You don't want to mess around with 401ks or rollovers without the help of a true professional. That could be a CPA, lawyer, investment advisor like ourselves, insurance agent. Yeah, have someone, they need some help here. Now, I'm not going to go, the rest of the slides here, I'm going to go through pretty fast, but all the slides have language with those. So it's my language. Everything's been FINRA reviewed. There's hardly anything that was changed with FINRA, which is very, very nice. They never approve the slides or approve the content, but they review it and they make sure that it's up to code, up to standard. We talk about Roth IRAs, but here, there's that 5-year holding rule. I don't, in the real presentation, of course, we don't have those questions. I do that, with the advisors, my peer group, but everyone's heard of the 5-year holding rule with Roth, or mostly, but there is no RMDs. There is, there are income limits, once you get into the, just under 200,000 for joint, yeah, it is going to phase out. We talk about Roth conversions, taking traditional money, converting it over. And what happens is that why do you do that? Well, turning taxable to tax-free. Everybody would like to do that if they're paying taxes, but of course you have to pay the taxes when you take it out, and we talk about that. Also, just eliminating or reducing taxes on Social Security. Okay, so what happens is that if your income are below certain brackets, you can pay only 50% or 0% of your Social Security is taxed. So only 50% is taxed, or at the highest 85% is taxed. So we talk about recharacterization of the OOPS rule, redoing the conversion has to be done by October 15th of the year following the year that you do the conversion from taxable to tax-free. So we talk about that. You normally can't recharacterize a Roth 401k plan. So how do you move your 401k to an IRA? This is, I mean, between us advisors, this of course is where the money gets taken out of the plan, and we are able to propose, and then they say, yes, I like that idea, and we're able to put them into a good investment, hopefully a higher quality investment as far as meeting their needs than they are right now, whatever that is. And if we can't do that, we shouldn't move it, should we? We can't beat what they have unless they want us to follow it. No, we shouldn't move it. So there are times when people have been very happy where they are, and I don't even go in and propose on it. But most people really don't know what they have. They need someone to follow the biggest asset that they have of their household. So there's indirect rollovers and there's direct rollovers, or direct transfers. It's like an attorney lawyer, means the same thing. But it's custodian to custodian or trustee to trustee. I use those interchangeably. So let's talk a little bit about indirect rollovers. Well, that would be like in the old days, and hopefully no one does this now, but if the check is made payable to you, that's okay. It's reported to the IRS, that's okay. You got 60 days to put it back in again without having a taxable event, that's okay. But what's interesting is that the government's going to withhold 20%. So if you take out $100,000 and you get a check written to yourself, think you're going to kind of use that money for 60 days, or you want to feel the check in hand. If it's made out to you, you're only going to get $80,000. And that $20,000, if you want it to go back into an IRA, an individual IRA, traditional, say, then you have to upfront that $20,000 out of your savings. Not everybody has that kind of money. You get one rollover like this of an indirect stature or nature once a year. That was enacted a couple, 2.5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. One per all of your IRAs. So you know what? Get a load of this. If you have $1 million IRA and you took the money, they're going to withhold $200,000. Say you're pretty well to do though, you put the $200,000 back in, and within 60 days it's in the account. There's no taxation on that. IRS is going to be notified that you took it out, but they'll also be notified that you put it back in. It will wash as far as the IRA and deductibility is concerned, or taxation is concerned. Now let's say that you got another one for $5,000, and so within 365 days, you got a real small IRA, and you're going to take it out, and then you're going to go in and made out to you, roll it over. Unbelievably, both of those transactions now are taxed. $5,000 doesn't make much difference, but $1 million would be taxed because you did two rollovers within a 365-day period with all of your IRAs. Indirect rollovers should be never done unless it's the only way. I just had one about 6 months ago where the bank would not make the check out to a custodian. They would only make it out to the person who was registered with that CD. And so I was very specific about, you have not rolled over, made out to you any other IRA, and you're not going to in the 365 days. He said, absolutely not. It's interesting because his CPA called me and said, why would you do that? And I said, he thought it was a taxable event, and I explained how it's not, but I told him that it was the only way the bank would go on in, and I made copious notes to make sure that if it ever raised its head, that I had all my backing notes in my CRM. But that's an indirect rollover, okay? Now, direct rollover, that's what everybody talks about, okay? Because that's really how we go in, and we certainly are able to control those assets. So there's no 60-day rule. There's no 20% taken out. There's no 12 months rollover rule. We're just going from custodian to custodian, or the same trustee to trustee. Okay, big business. So we can do it with an existing IRA. We can start a new IRA. But why do people do this? The big thing is there's more investment options. There's more options. Think about it. With a company plan, you normally can invest in mutual funds and the company stock. Some have a percentage that you can go on outside company stock. What if you want to put a CD in there? How about a single bond? How about an annuity, fixed annuity or variable annuity because you want some income rider on it? No. How about real estate, non-traded real estate investment trust? No, you can't do any of that with a company plan. It gives you so many more investment options. There are a lot fewer rules with IRAs. Fees can be more or less. Many times they are less, though, than the 401k is charging. Of course, you continue your tax deferral, and if it's a tax-free 401ks are becoming more common now, then that would continue to be tax-free in your IRA also. But just consolidating it, just being simple. You know, when you get older, you kind of like that. We talk about beneficiary options, and I'm not going to go. I mean, I'll read them, but we talk about you could leave it blank. You can name your estate or will. Most people name a spouse if they're married. Contingents could be children, could be primary too, grandchildren or other individuals, charities, or trust. And then I go through each one. It says I've got all the money I'll ever need if I die by 4 o'clock. Hope that Henny Youngman said that. Hope it doesn't happen to you. And I used to use. I had rights, paid for rights to use cartoons from a national syndicate. But now I just go in and I use kind of humorous or insightful public domain quotations from famous people. It costs nothing, and we can do that legally, which is nice. Don't forget to stretch. I talk about inherited IRAs. Talk a little bit about the separate account rule, breaking up an IRA because if you've got beneficiaries, it'll always go if it's co-primary or say it goes down to the contingent, 3 contingents, they'll take the oldest one and all of them will go off of that age. Now, if they're only 2 or 3 years difference, it's not a big deal, but if you're like my dad was 18 years older than my aunt, well, if it was an IRA, my aunt would have had to take RMDs, off of my dad's age. So we talk about separate account rule. We talk about naming your estate or will that you're basically guaranteed that it's going to go through probate. Now, if you got a lot of real estate in your will, mostly real estate, that's one thing. Might be worthwhile. But for retirement accounts, you should have a designated heartbeat beneficiary or trust or charity. But it should be a specific thing, not just pour over into your will, because then it will be probated. How do you title an inherited IRA? What's kind of interesting about this, all of this information, we go through every single slide. It has all the language with it. I explain one of the things about seminar coaching. If you like the idea here, what happens is that you're going to have a chance here in about 5 minutes, because we're almost done with the presentation, but you can mark yes, you want a consultation with myself on the phone, or no, you don't. If you mark yes, then Craig Jones or Amy, they're both my administrators, will call you here within a couple days, and we'll set up a 20 to 30 minute time, and we can talk about anything from a financial aspect, but I hope we're talking about ways to get in front of more people. We're still in the belly-to-belly business. It may not be over the kitchen table. It might be your office. It might be at their den. But I tell you, getting together with people, talking about financial matters like rollovers, like beneficiaries, RMDs, all of those things just really hit home. And so what happens is, I hope that when we're done with the 5 coaching sessions that take about 45 minutes each, or in that neighborhood, between 30 and 45 minutes each, that you'll have a lot better understanding. Plus, with that, you're always able to call me, email me. You can use me here. Craig does all of our internally. I mean, we don't have an internal mail house, but we use an external mail house we've been with over for 5 years. That's a long time for me to be with the mail house. I've been through 3 representatives because I'm pretty particular, but Becky's very, very good at what she does. And we can help you with the demographics. We can help you with getting together the invitation. You're not on your own. You've got someone helping you through this. I've done over 460 public seminars since the mid '80s. I'm pretty versed on what's working and what doesn't work, okay? But we talk about the inherited IRAs, we talk about RMDs. There's a thing called eligible players. You can actually name of who you want on your beneficiaries of the inherited IRA before you pass away. Then once you pass, they have to pick from that grouping. So I just talk about things that you normally would not see in the normal day-to-day operation of an IRA. Per capita versus per stirpes. Remember, I talked per head versus per bloodline, and we go through that. RMDs, we talk about how RMDs work. When you have to take your first RMD out, the first year you got an option either at the end of the year or by April 1 the next year. If you take April 1 the next year, then you got 2 RMDs the same year. A lot of people don't want to do that. I talk about QLAC, Qualified Longevity Annuity. Now, I do this in a general manner, but it is the only product that we talk about. Arthur Godfrey here says, I'm proud to be paying taxes in the U.S. The only thing is I could be just as proud for half the money. Don't pay more taxes than you have to, or than you need to. I talk about in-service non-hardship withdrawal plans. That's when you can take money out normally after the age of 59 and a half and still working for the company. Valmont is a light pole irrigation company that's about 6 miles away from us. We do a lot of in-service withdrawal plans with Valmont. 5 rules to know about the in-service withdrawal plan. See, I like to have this balance. You know, the 59, the 20% can come into play if you take it in cash. Loans need to be paid out first. And then there's another slide that talks about the do's and the don'ts, or the pluses and the negatives. I don't know if you've got a background in Social Security. We also have a Social Security workshop, but I like to bring up Social Security in every single workshop that I have because it is a buzzword, no doubt. But you know, what happens is that we're talking about using investment or IRA money and delaying Social Security. You know, because remember, if you delay Social Security from 62 to 66, it grows 25%. That's over 6% a year average. If you wait from 66 to 70, if you're born from 43 to 54, then what happens is that it grows 8% guaranteed, and that is always with COLA. Do you know COLA in the last 50, 60 years averaged about 4%? Right now it's averaging about 1.5 or 2%. But that adds up. So you start talking about you got to take RMDs anyway from your retirement monies, IRAs, or 401ks. So what happens is, why don't you just take the RMDs early and get that guaranteed income stream of 8% plus COLA? Probably turns out to be 10% a year. Where can you get 8-10% a year on any kind of income stream or investment guarantee? Of course you cannot. That's what we talk about. So then I say, hey, there's a lot to think about. And I'll just kind of finish, and then we're going to bring the slide on up here if you want more information. But you know what happens on this is it talks about, and I tell this to folks, it's the thinkers, a lot to think about. The majority of retirees, they just don't understand. They're not aware of all the rules that are involved with rollovers, and they should be. And so what happens is the decisions that you make, you want to make sure that they protect you. Okay? And then we go into the next slide, if this is going to go, and we have this sheet right here. I'll go back on it. So the sheet is a consultation, a workshop evaluation form. So there's no obligation consultation. It's for 1 hour, and you know, you can mark yes, you can mark no. If you mark yes, you know, put down a daytime phone number on this that we can get a hold of you. You know, Craig is busy, and Amy, they make the calls out. We have a lot of appointments coming in, and you can mark, I've got the next 2 weeks basically scheduled off for workshop appointments. And before you mark yes or when you mark yes or no, there's a couple of things I want to go through with you. I'm doing this kind of fast here. I go a little slower during the actual workshop, but leave your checkbook at home. One financial problem uncovered. That's my goal. And then ask yourself, what are the best rollover options for my company retirement plan? If you don't know, you might want to mark yes. Could a Roth conversion benefit me? It doesn't benefit everyone, but when the shoe fits, it's like Cinderella's slipper. It fits great. And then I just go through the rest of them. And lastly is the second opinion sometimes could be the very best opinion. And then I leave at the very end. I talk about George Foreman, born in 49. So I'm 62. He's 8 years older than I am. He's 70, and he made a bunch of money from boxing, but where did he make the most money from? Then someone says the George Foreman Grill. I said, that's right. I said, Google it up. He was paid over $130 million a check to use his name, not counting any of the overrides that he gets from the grills themselves. So I always say to the people, if your name is not on a grill, you probably need to mark yes and come in and see me. And then everybody laughs a little bit, and then we wait to fill out those forms, and there it goes. Now, what I'd like to do is, I think I'll go through real quick, Steve, before we put up if they'd like more information, but it says 400 public seminars. I've actually done 461 to date. That's since the early mid-'80s. I currently produce, and I go to both the production trips with IAMS, the FMO, from the fixed index side or insurance side, and I go to some of the production trips with my broker-dealer, Calton. And if you are with a broker-dealer and you're having trouble with how they're running fixed index through the securities grid, or they're just a limiting product, I mean, I'm an OSJ, and most of my people, the majority, are insurance reps that do security business. Not all, but I'd love to talk to you, because we've got a really great broker-dealer. It's a small broker-dealer. It's employee-owned by financial advisors, and they really understand the business, and they're flexible with the new DOL law. So if I can help you there, you certainly might want to mark yes, and we can certainly talk about that too. I'm a big believer of I eat my own cooking, so I am a producer just like you are, not just a coach that is making my money from coaching. What happens about this is that after we have 5 sessions, I get paid from coaching, $150 per session, so $750, as long as you qualify. And part of that is a little bit on production and making sure some business will run through the FMO of IAMS. Doesn't have to be all of it, but we'd love it, but some of the business, yeah. Then IAMS is going to go in and pay for $555 of the $750. So there's $195 the cost that you'll have from the coaching through the whole retirement seminar system. And you get my full support, and we line a seminar up the very first thing, and then we back it. Right now, the first seminars we're doing are late summer, but a lot of them are waiting until September, and it's probably a little better month maybe to start the first seminar. If you've done seminars in the past and haven't had good luck, I certainly would love to talk with you, because this is a pretty good game plan, pretty good track. We've got a lot of people that are using this seminar that have been very, very successful. I'll kind of start here and leave it here, and then Steve, you can go in and bring the slide to go in. And Mark, where it says procrastination is my sin, it brings me constant sorrow. I really shouldn't practice it. Perhaps I'll stop. Well, shoot, tomorrow never comes. Never comes. I have a man cave downstairs, and my wife brought me a sign that says free beer tomorrow. Nothing happens tomorrow. It needs to happen today. Don't procrastinate. If you're kind of in a rut right now, you're not getting in front of enough people right now, you don't have enough qualified prospects right now, Mark, yeah, let's talk. Let's talk. I mean, I like this seminar a lot, but I've got other seminars, other marketing ideas, other prospecting ideas. I sales coach also. I presentation coach. So what happens is, you know, we're in kind of a lonely, independent state of affairs in our business. I mean, I'm a one-man show. I've got 2 administrators, but I have no other reps, no other advisors, no other agents. Sometimes it's kind of like I'm the one board of directors, you know, for 5 weeks, you know, of your company. But it's quite reasonable. And I think one of the main reasons most people are not successful in marketing is, first, they give up too early. They don't have the persistency, but it's easy to get off track, kind of in the ditch, because someone isn't there guiding them and telling them kind of what to do. And I certainly, that's what a good coach does, you know, for a producer. So if you mark yes, I'm going to turn this over to Steve in a second, but if you mark yes, then certainly take Craig or Amy's call. We'll be calling within a couple days, and we'll line up a good time. I'm gone for Thursday, Friday of this week, so we'll start next week. It'll be pretty busy because we had a lot of people on the line with us. But I'm here to help you get in front of qualified prospects. That when I came on board with IAMS, about 12, 13 years ago for my fixed index business, and I work all it through IAMS. But what happens is they asked me, it was one of the very first production meetings. It was in Alaska, and it was on a cruise, and Steve Murray, who's with us today, and he just said, do you think that coaching would work for our people? I said, of course it would. It's a little different kind of coaching because it's a little different animal, an insurance agent, than it is on a securities rep, but the basis is exactly the same. And we've had some very, very good success with our seminar and our marketing program. So hopefully I can help you. And Steve, I will turn it over to you.
Thanks, Dave. Great job as always. We appreciate that. And there's a couple things I think that Dave didn't mention, maybe just to humble. Dave has mentioned he's coached with us for a while. We've had a lot of great success around the coaching that Dave has done, not just with seminars, but on the business side. But certainly we're big believers in what seminars can do to grow your business. And Dave is probably in the industry today among the best producer coaches that you're going to find out there. So doing a great job with the seminars on his own. And so that is really able to communicate that out to you. And then secondarily, he's got the systems set up within his office now that I think to get you from A to Z, everything that you need to do and do it correctly to have the results that you want, because there's a lot of opportunities in the process for errors, whether it's in the mailing or whether it's in the setup or whether it's in the presentation itself, or whether it's in the close for the appointment, or whether it's in the appointment and getting to appointment to a sale. So there's a lot of opportunities in there for little mistakes here and there to minimize the efficiency of what you do. What Dave and his group does is maximize the efficiency of what you do. So it gives you the best opportunity for success at every key point in the seminar process. So we're big believers in having a coach side by side with you, to have one of the best ones in the industry that is still, in the trenches and doing the business every day. I think is just priceless for our producers. As you noted from our new producer bonus, there's ways that we can get this done for you at no cost, including the mailing. But if you're looking for the coaching and you want to take advantage of our scholarship, we'd love to talk with you about that as well. We pay most of the expenses on that. We pay all of it, frankly, here at IAMS, but we do believe that it's important to have some skin in the game at the producer level. And so we pay most of it because we know that it works. We wouldn't do that if we hadn't seen success after success. So there are a couple questions out here, Dave. So you walk through a lot of your seminar. Can you give them quick, just kind of the numbers, how they play out in terms of what you spend on the mailing, how many folks that you're seeing at your seminars, what you're converting is a kind of a general rule to actual business, and how that's playing out for you. Can you take just a couple minutes and do that for us?
Sure, no problem. And this is from a general standpoint, but when we do a mailing, we mail out 6,000 pieces. And so this is the expense of seminars. It's getting people there. We're still old school, but we do have some new school. Depending on the area, we may do some social media also. That adds another $500 on. We don't do it all the time. It depends on the area that we're at. But the cost of the mailing. So I want to talk about cost real quick. The cost of the program is this. It's the mailing. It's not the coaching. The coaching is going to cost you. I mean, I get paid $750, but IAMS, because they know that most of the reason people are not successful in the marketing business or the seminar business, the prospecting, the reason is because there's just too many hurdles that they tumble over, or there's just too many ditches that they get in, and that's the big thing of having a track. I mean, I've done 460 of those. Have they all been perfect? No. Have by far the majority of them made good money? Yes. That's why I'm still in business, and I'm not going out of business. I've got a great repeatable prospecting or marketing method. So what happens is, when we mail out those 6,000, they cost 55 cents a piece. So I certainly won't sugarcoat this. There's cost to going in of $3,300 for the mailing. So that's your big cost. I mean, you could buy maybe a great used car, but you could buy a crummy used car for $3,300. You want to get a return on your money. Steve, it's interesting because we talk about Will, who's been on board with us for about 6 months now, and they just did. I mean, I don't know if you saw. I think you did get a CC the email, but he his last seminar. Now this is high. It's higher than the normal. We hope to get around 40 people there, but he got around 65 or 70, close to 70 people between 2 nights, and he got 31 appointments. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, you got to be a pretty crummy salesperson not to close someone if you have 31 preset appointments and they watched you perform up there talking about the specific language of 401k IRA rollovers. So or whatever the seminar subject is. So what happens is the goal, once you get 10 appointments or more, the chance, the odds are in your favor that you're going to close at least a piece of business, if not 2 pieces of business or 3. Once you get 15 or 16 appointments, then of course the odds go up. And I mean, like this fellow Will, he's elated because he's got, he was well above the average. But what happens is, when he was coaching, he took it seriously. He practiced. I've got a video that everyone gets of me actually performing the 401k IRA rollover seminar at an actual group. Okay, so you get a lot of information from me, a lot of hand holding, a lot of insight. So this is what Steve wanted. Here's what happens: you mail out 6,000. From that, we hope we get we don't get 1% anymore. We get about 0.7%. So that's about 40 people. Well, of the 40 people, if you start talking about buying units of those 40 people, we're going to have maybe 25, 26 buying units, husband and wife being a buying unit, a single being a buying unit. Yeah. And of those 25 or 26, normally you're going to have, because this is the dinner workshop, and I still do dinner workshops, you have to have some kind of a little bit of a lure, a little bit of a fun night to get people out. So many times people have said we had no idea we were going to go in and change agents or take that money out of the 401k. We just kind of came here for the meal. So is it bad to have a meal? No, there's cost to it. 40 at 20, that's $800 is what those meals very well could cost you on top of the mailing. But what happens is that you got to get attendees there. That's extremely important. And, so if you go in and say you've got 26 buying units, you might as well figure that about, I would say that 20% of those people are there strictly for the meal. They have no interest of ever doing business. Well, that leaves maybe 20, 21 buying units left, and we'll normally have appointments with half of those. Yeah, that's 10, 11 appointments. If we can get 10, 11 appointments, I'm going to close anywhere between 1 and 3 pieces of business most likely. Have I closed more? Yes. Have I closed none? Not too often, but it has happened over the 460 plus seminars that I've done. But what happens on that is that, I know that from I call them assets under management, whether it's fixed indexed, whether it's mutual funds, variables, single stocks, non-traded REITs, managed money, whatever it is that I'm putting people into, what happens is that you're probably going to go in and I figure somewhere between 200 and 250,000 worth of investable assets you'll work with. Now, if I was just insurance licensed, I may not get every bit of that. Maybe it might come down to 175 to 2.25. You might get a little bit less, but everybody knows most retirees or pre-retirees, they don't have to hit the home run. They're trying to get the single. What they don't want to do is strike out. And of course, that's what the guaranteed fixed indexed or fixed product truly does. Now, I don't pick up outside life insurance. I don't pick out outside med sup insurance. I don't do funeral expense. I don't do disability. I don't do any of the other ancillary kind of insurances because I'm really a broker. I'm really a securities person at heart. So we have, like Curtis, Steve, he picks a lot of ancillary business up that pays for all of his expenses. Then he'll have 1 or 2 or 3 pretty nice chunks that come in from investment money with their fixed index, et cetera. So if I can get a couple 100,000 to 250, I'm pretty darn happy. Have I gotten over $1 million before? I have. Have I blanked before? Not very often, but I have. So there's no guarantee, but certainly when you're working with a coach, you do put a track record in your corner, and you do have hand-holding that helps you on that success track, and that's what this is all about, putting the odds in your favor of being successful in the seminar business.
Thank you, Dave. We do have some other questions out there, more specific, some questions about how to use Roth IRA in general and things like that. So, but we are just running a little bit over time here. So I'm going to send you those questions, Dave, and if you'd be kind enough to contact the folks, that would work out well.
Or if they mark yes, I can certainly talk to them then, you know.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, perfect. We've got just a couple folks out there that have not voted. I assume that's because they can't. So if you would, those of you that are just listening, give me a call here at the office at 800-255-5055. If you want more information from Dave, I'll be glad to put you two together and set up a call. So with that, I think we better get closed up here. I'm going to close this poll down. Thank you all for taking some time to join us today. Thank you too as well, Dave. I know you've got a lot going with some of your coaching stuff and your personal business, so appreciate your time and joining us here today as well. If we can be of service to you here at IAMS, we want you to give us a call here at 800-255-5055. We'll get you in touch with Dave or answer any of the questions that you might have. Thank you again for joining us today. My apologies for the little audio glitch we had on the front end, and thank you all for taking some time out of your busy schedule to join us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Have a real productive week. Bye-bye.